This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
The 2023 hoop season is winding up with the third season of the Basketball Africa League concluding in Kigali, Rwanda last weekend, while the American showpiece, the NBA Finals, is already underway with the Denver Nuggets seeking a first title against three-time winners Miami Heat in the best-of-7 series. In tonight's sports scene, we take a deeper look at how the basketball seasons have shaped up as we interview NBA great Stephon Marbury, who is now transforming the game in China. Hi there, sports fans. Welcome into your weekly dose of sports scene. And yes, we've got you covered. It's another fascinating, intriguing, and tantalizing show. I'm Richard and Ty in Nairobi. This is your sports scene. Put on your seatbelts, buckle up, get ready, get ready. Let's get started. Here's what's coming up in the show. The Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat in unlikely contest for title as the 2023 NBA Finals continues in Denver. And Kenya eyes medals as it names its 3-on-3 basketball team for upcoming Africa and World Beach Games. Well, welcome in. Just like that, sports scene is on the air. We'll get to those other stories in just a moment, but first, let's get the ball bouncing with the BAL. The recently concluded Season 3 of the Basketball Africa League Finals in Kigali, Rwanda, has left a lasting impact on both the sporting and economic landscape of the host nation. CGTN's Ethan Tashobia takes a closer look at the significance of the Continental Elite Club competition to businesses in Rwanda, as well as the overall growth of the game across the continent. Let's take a look.
The Basketball Africa League has been making waves across the continent, captivating fans and creating a positive and lasting effect beyond the arenas. Egyptian giants Al Ahly emerged victorious in Season 3 after a three-ring final, defeating Senegal's AS Douane 80-65 at the iconic BK Arena in Kigali. But it's not just the Al Ahly players and the fans who are celebrating. Local businesses in Rwanda have also witnessed a significant boost thanks to the tournament. Desire Mutangana, a stadium vendor who has been selling popcorn during the BAL matches, shares his experience.
It means a lot. It means a lot. It means more people coming in. It means more money coming in. It means getting us busy.
African basketball players say this tournament has been a game changer. Seasoned Angola international and Petro de Rwanda guard Carlos Moraes has featured in all three seasons of the BAL. He's expected about the growth of the game on the African continent.
So far, everything is good. I'm happy with everything I'm seeing. Hopefully every league in each country gets better as the BAL keep improving.
With talented players from across Africa showcasing their skills in the BAL, it's no surprise that the competition has attracted talent scouts and international franchises. Asha Komugisha, the Basketball Africa League official commentator and sports journalist, told CGTN that the tournament has given African basketball a global platform.
The BAL, it's the biggest competition we've seen on the continent in terms of on and off the court quality. It's bringing the best players from the African continent, but also from literally the entire world. The level has gone up from the inaugural season. You can see what it has taken Al Ahly to win the trophy today, but also just in general. There's a lot of talent on the continent.
Rwandan President Paul Kagame commends the BAL for its positive influence on the country and the continent.
The benefits speak for themselves. They give our young people a future that they would not have had if it wasn't for these kinds of efforts.
Analysts say the growth of basketball, both as a sport and as an economic driver, is an encouraging sign for the future if governments invest in improved facilities. The closest that Rwanda has gone to winning Basketball Africa League was in 2021 when country representatives Patriots went to the semi-finals. But the officials here say they have won big through hosting these games, and that's why they're investing more in modern infrastructure, including the upgrade of Amahoro National Stadium, which will be completed in 2024. Ethan Tashobia for CGTN, Kigali, Rwanda.
The rise of Egypt's Al Ahly on the continental basketball scene was confirmed when they defeated Senegal's champions AS Douanes 80-65 to lift the 2023 Basketball Africa League title last weekend in Kigali, Rwanda. Spanish coach Auguste Julbe Bosch is the catalyst of the success, having also led Cairo rival Zamalek to the BAL title in 2021. CGTN's Adel Al-Marhoui has more.
Al Ahly confirmed Egypt's dominance in African basketball late last month. The club's first Basketball Africa League triumph earned the North African country its second title since the Premier Club Continental competition was launched in 2021. The secret ingredient for the rise of Egyptian basketball is the Spanish coach Auguste Julbe Bosch.
We have a big project to develop basketball in Egypt. Bosch has been with us for 2 years. He won about 9 titles during this time, and it's a great performance. We also got another Spaniard to lead the technical development side along with the coach. Our target is to establish continuity in a leading basketball team so that one generation hands over to another who can be champions as well.
The age-old rivalry between Al Ahly and Zamalek in football may have led to this Egyptian basketball success story. Bosch coached Zamalek to the BAL title at the inaugural edition in 2021. After that victory, Al Ahly made the Spaniard an offer he couldn't refuse to snatch him from their old foes.
There is no
doubt that Zamalek's victory in the first edition of the BAL made Al Ahly rethink its approach to basketball. At that time, Al Ahly was far from standing on a podium. Within just 2 years, they won 9 out of 10 titles. That's a huge achievement. Al Ahly not only caught up with Zamalek and Tunisian Al Monastir on the continental level, but they can also now lead the African charts next year.
We respect clubs like Al Ittihad and Zamalek, and even if they are opponents to us, we all represent Egypt at the end of the day. Al Ahly never accept any ranking lower than the first. The Basketball Africa League became our target, and our players and managers knew this title was our target. They worked hard for it and deserved that victory.
The BAL is made up of 12 top African clubs. Replacing Africa Basketball League, it has become the top-tier club continental competition.
After Al Ahly's victory, Zamalek announced that it is planning to further expand its basketball program to regain its domestic lead and take another shot at winning the Basketball Africa League. It's a healthy twist for the biggest sports rivalry tale in Egypt of all time. Adel Al-Marhoui, CGTN, Cairo.
All right, for more on the just concluded BAL League, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Adel Al-Marhoui. Adel, welcome to Sports Scene. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to us. Adel, let me just start by asking you, Zamalek, Al Ahly, they've won 2 out of the 3 BAL titles. What does this say for Northern African dominance in the game of basketball?
Well, thank you, Richard, for having me. Always a pleasure to talk to you. So basically, we have North Africa dominating the first 3 editions of the BAL, and basically that's just a twist in what has been a complete dominance by Angola, specifically Primeiro de Agosto club, which has been sweeping out the previous edition of the league, which name has been the Africa Basketball League. Not so much difference from the BAL. In any way, we've seen that Angola has been dominating that scene and the club scene since 2012, almost sweeping out most of the titles until 2019. And then when the switch happened, Richard, in 2021, Angola disappeared. Primeiro de Agosto specifically disappeared. So this is an indication that there is a recovery, or at least that North African country were the most ready to reshape their structure, their basketball approach and tactics to suit this new 12-team edition of the Basketball Africa League. And therefore, it is a new start. It definitely does not mean that Angola's age is over. We're just talking about a very short bump in the road of African club basketball history. So there's a lot to catch up with, and there's a lot to see in the coming editions of the BAL. Richard.
Indeed, Adel, talk to us about this success formula. And do you think this formula for success is going to translate to the Egyptian national teams?
Well, I've noticed something from the history of the competitions in basketball, and I tried to connect earlier this morning relations between the club performances in the Africa Basketball League and the BAL later on, along with the Afrobasket, which is the men's nations champions competition or cup in Africa. And if you take a notice, Richard, we've seen that on a national team level, Angola has had a way ahead start from its club performance. So Angola has been dominating the Afrobasket since 1989. And then about 12 to 13 years later, we started seeing Angola entering the club arena and getting the dominance that I've earlier mentioned until 2019, from 2002 to 2019. In general, there seems to be like an early boost where Angola has managed to create a foundation for its national team that then reflected to the clubs. If we compare the same to what's happening now, maybe we're seeing a reverse trend, because we are, in recent years, we've seen Egypt winning a lot, restructuring actually its basketball system. And as you've said earlier, we have Zamalek winning the first BAL title. Al Ahly immediately entered the competition out of jealousy maybe, but still it has been a healthy kind of jealousy that has boosted Al Ahly's infrastructure in basketball, and Zamalek too is now trying to get back in shape. This is definitely something that will create a pool of players for the Egyptian national team. Of course, on a club level, we have many internationals that get invited to play among the club level, but this is also an incentive that can help in boosting up Egyptian players' tactical levels and skills as they engage more with international players in the Egyptian domestic league. So definitely there should be a connection, and definitely maybe if this trend continues, if we see Al Ahly, Zamalek, Ittihad, for example, which is another strong Egyptian club in basketball, continue these streak and have a strong African performance for the long term, let's say in the next 4 to 5 years at least, medium term, then this definitely will reflect on the national team, as well as I will be curious to see what other African nations will be doing in that regard. The BAL in general is exciting because it gives a new competitive edge in basketball, and it seems so far that it has managed to successfully get the attention of Egyptian clubs, and definitely North Africa and Tunisia, where they've won the second title as well.
Important points that you've made there, Adel. Something that you mentioned I'd like for you to pick up on. What would you say the impact of BAL has been on basketball on the continent at large? How do you see it?
Well, it is definitely a different experience. This is the first competition or professional league to be organized by both the National Basketball Association, the US NBA, and the International Basketball Association, FIBA. It's also the first competition that the NBA, first professional competition that the NBA holds beyond North America. So there's a lot of expertise coming from North America through the International Federation pouring into Africa in this first of its kind collaboration. And definitely it has moved stagnant waters. We're seeing a lot of countries moving in, we've seen countries moving out, and it's reshaping African football, but the expertise that we're gaining from that is definitely an add-on. And let's not forget that the BAL is just part of a general and more comprehensive program that the NBA has been leading in Africa. The NBA has been moving along among the cadets, the youth age categories, trying to infuse training skills, getting professional NBA coaches and players come to the continent, tour it, and teach some skills for young African basketball athletes as well. So this is just a continuation of a bigger picture, and I believe we'll be seeing more of exciting basketball in the coming years if this partnership continues.
Well, there you have it, Adel. We look forward to the future and, of course, the 4th edition of the BAL. There you have it, from the man, the myth, the legend Adel Al-Marbury. Moving along, the Basketball Africa League was established in 2021. It is a joint effort between the National Basketball Association and the International Basketball Federation, FIBA, aimed at improving the standards of the game on the continent. Let's now take a look at how the 3 BAL finals so far unfolded. And we are still tapped in, tuned in, and turned on, and more coming your way after the break. Here's what's ahead. The Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat in unlikely contest for a title as the 2023 NBA Finals continues in Denver.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. Thanks for staying with us. Millions of basketball fans in the U.S. and around the world will be watching the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat in the 2023 NBA Finals. It is an unlikely matchup in many ways. The Denver Nuggets have never been to the finals, while the Heat were considered a long shot going into the playoffs. Now, with a 104-93 win in Game 1, the Nuggets have nosed ahead in the 7-game series that continues tonight. CGTN's Hendrik Sabrandi previews this one for us from Denver.
It's one of those moments, they don't happen often, when a sports team brightens a city's mood, stirs its civic pride. For their long-suffering fans, the Denver Nuggets have done that.
We've got a lot of waiting that we've been doing, and it's time for us to take this home with 4 more W's.
4 more wins, that's what it will take for the Nuggets to win the NBA championship and truly earn a place on the national map.
They showed us so much grit, so much determination, so much maturity. So to national media, forget y'all. Our Denver Nuggets are bringing home the championship.
The Nuggets joined the NBA in 1976, but have never been to the finals. They're the top-seeded team in the NBA's Western Conference.
We have yet to win a championship, and that's why we're excited to be here, but know that we have a ton of work to do, and this is going to be the hardest challenge that any of us have faced in our NBA careers.
The Miami Heat have worn the NBA crown 3 times, but since they're 8th seeded in the East, their opponent could host 4 of the maximum 7 games in this series, here in Denver's famed high altitude.
We're not even getting into any of that stuff. Our guys are in great shape. They're ready to compete. If Denver wants to tip this thing off at the top of Everest, we'll do that. This thing is going to be decided between the 4 lines.
There are no cheap seats here at Ball Arena for these NBA Finals. Tickets start at $675 for Game 1. A seat behind the Nuggets bench for a potential Game 7 will run you $30,000.
You got extra tickets?
Nuggets center and 2-time league most valuable player Nikola Jokic will play a major role in this series. The scoring and passing wizard does his talking on the court. To the press, not so much.
I'm confused. Who said that we are favorites? The media? This is going to be the hardest game of our life, and we know that, and we are prepared for that. Thank you, guys. Pleasure. Look forward.
How does the Heat slow him down?
Guarding him as a team with all 5 guys. You know, he does everything so well, and we're just going to have to get after it. We're going to have to lock in.
This potentially even series.
In my head, I'm going toss-up.
Awesome, straight up.
Is already more than break even for Denver's hospitality and Nuggets merchandise industry.
We're full force. Everybody in the city is getting behind it. Even people who might not have followed the Nuggets for 10 plus years. They're ready and waiting.
Go Nuggets! Yes, sir. Go Nuggets. Have a good day.
Fans who claim their team has gotten no respect say this is their moment.
Just the fiery flames like Denver's giving off right now. Like this picture says it all.
Hey, Colorado, we've been waiting our whole life for this. Denver Nuggets, here we go.
Hendrik Sabrandi, CGTN, Denver.
Earlier, I met up with former NBA All-Star and fourth pick in the '96 draft, Stephon Marbury. I started by asking him, what does it take for African players to make it into the NBA?
There's how many billions, 6 billion people here? I said, let's just say 500, 600 million people that play basketball, just play, and let's break it down. I said, in the NBA, every year there are only 30 teams. So there's 30 picks. Really, somebody gotta leave the NBA and then 30 to make room for 30 new guys. So that little room, we can fit 30 people right here and sit down. So, and then you got the whole world trying to sit in this little area right here. So it's hard, it's hard. You really gotta put in a lot of work. You gotta be blessed. You gotta have the tools to be able to get on the court to play at that high level. You gotta be, I say, consistent and efficient. If you're consistent and efficient and you got the game and the skills, you always got a chance.
So do you think Africa is overlooked in the recruiting process when you consider the fact that I just mentioned it's easier to be struck by lightning than to play in the NBA, but we got guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo of Nigerian descent. We've got Pascal Siakam, Joel Embiid, Hakeem Olajuwon, Mutombo, Serge Ibaka. These are players that are not just passing time into the NBA; they are Hall of Famers and possible Hall of Famers. Isn't that something to celebrate?
Yeah, I mean, it's super big. I mean, when you start right from the dream, all the way down to Embiid, when you look at these guys and you see these guys, they're game changers. They're not just guys that has that are playing in the NBA or played in the NBA. These are guys that have changed the game. So I think as time continues, I mean, basketball is not going nowhere. It's going to be here when we're gone, and our kids and kids. It's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to develop.
Right. And then we've got to talk about the GOAT situation. We can't have a segment without having
Michael Jordan.
Yep. I want to know from Stephon Marbury, put it on record on CGTN.
Michael Jordan.
LeBron or Michael, who's the GOAT? And does LeBron have the right to be considered the GOAT?
I don't, me personally, I mean, I would say LeBron is probably the most complete. He's probably the best all-around basketball player to ever play basketball. I don't think there'll ever be a basketball player to ever be as complete. But I don't think he's a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. I don't think skill set wise, I don't think he's a better basketball player. I don't think he plays the game with the same type of understanding as Michael Jordan. But I'll put it like this. You ask me a question, I ask you a question. Game 7.
Yeah.
6 seconds left.
Yeah.
Down by 1. Who you giving the basketball to? Jordan, or you giving the ball to LeBron to take the last shot?
I'll give it to Jordan. I'll give it to Jordan. Well, the Kenya Basketball Federation has announced its 3-on-3 teams that will participate in the various international events, including the Africa Beach Games in Tunisia later this month. The Federation hopes the teams will go on to break the glass ceiling in the fast-rising sport. CGTN's Mohammed Abubakar reports.
3x3 basketball is rapidly gaining popularity in Kenya. Since making headway on their Commonwealth Games debut in Birmingham last year, more players are showing interest in the fast-paced sport. After 12 months of nationwide scouting, the men's and women's national teams' coaches have selected their strongest teams for this year's Africa Beach Games in Tunisia and the World Beach Games in Indonesia.
3x3, you must have a player who is able to be all-rounded, because at any given point, you are not so much of a post player. You have to be a guard at the same time. You have to play defense and offense. So you get an all-rounded player. But even as we have the all-rounded player, amongst the four, you must have different specialities. So one has to be a typical point guard. You must have a shooter, because in this game, if you shoot a three-point, it's 2. So you can easily reach 21 and win the game with three-point shooters.
Both the men's and women's teams reached the Commonwealth Games quarterfinals last year. And according to the latest FIBA rankings, Kenya is now the third best team in Africa, behind Egypt and Tunisia.
Already in Africa, we are highly ranked. So, and the teams there know that Kenya is a home of 3x3. So that one also gives us a challenge, because every team is looking into us. We have our players that have played these main tournaments, and their videos are all over, so people can scout them. But we don't know most of our opponents, so that is also a challenge. But with the experience that we have, we should be able to become victorious.
The team's tacticians are also impressed by the speed at which the players have grasped the game of 3x3.
Now players understand more of the 3x3 than before. You see, now they know we are not doing much as coaches. We are just guiding them through the 3x3, because the 3x3 no coaching when players are playing. You can only coach them when they are not playing after the games or before. But once they start their games, you're not coaching them. So our confidence is coming in, because we are seeing players coaching themselves very well.
3x3 basketball made its debut as an Olympics event at Tokyo 2020. Kenya hopes that its fast-rising 3x3 teams will be part of the country's contingent to the Paris 2024 Summer Games next year. Mohamed Abubakar, CGTN.
Well, that is it for this edition of Sports Scene. Remember, you can send us your feedback to the contacts on the screen and follow us on digital media platforms. Thanks for watching. We leave you with images of some of the sporting highlights from this week, where Nikola Jokic dropped a triple-double to lead the Denver Nuggets to a 104-93 victory in Game 1 of the NBA Finals on Friday at the Ball Arena.
Jokic again. Falling away. Got it again. Back-to-back buckets by Jokic. Adebayo fakes the handoff. Goes right at Jokic. Jump shot. That won't go. And there's the triple-double. 9-0 at home in the playoffs. They take Game 1.